don't know where this is coming from. I think it's because I'm leaving. I'm like, ha ha.
You're in a good mood.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You had a good day.
See, I've had a good day.
You had a good day.
Yeah.
I know. I woke him up. I woke him up at noon. I know he had a good day.
You did.
Like, oh.
God.
It's a really good day.
So this is really important. Yeah, it's nice to have fun. It's nice to enjoy. They don't come and last, the enjoyments. So when they come, charge them up. Use the information, charge them up, keep them going. Yeah, until you get wisdom with them, and then they keep going way deeper, in a higher way. So let's talk about, that was a good segue, right? I did good.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about Penjakile, that the karma that was at link number 2 gets so charged up, and something, what do you think charges it up? What is the thing that most charges up the karma? Desire and grasping. The last two, link 8 and 9, really turn it on, and it's like they fuse it, they turn it into an atomic something. And at the time of death, let's go through that quickly. There's so much to tell you guys. At the time of death, it is this karma out of the entire storehouse and soup of karmas. Yeah, it is the strongest desire, the strongest grasping, which is grasping to being, self, right? With the flavor of whatever's in that soup, all the stuff that you've done in your entire life and the ones before are just, they're not in some place, they are you. They are the states of mind you hold. They are the assumptions that are so habitual they're completely unconscious to us. They're the habitual associations that we have. These are the karmas, the way we are forced to see the world, thinking that they're self-existent, comes from something. Comes from your intentions, comes from your actions of body, speech and mind. They're karmas. They're not in a bucket. You are the bucket. There's no other bucket. You are karma. It is you. Yeah? And what you think is naturally you, and all the storehouse of unseen you, or the things you didn't know were you, or the assumptions that you don't know are you, these are the karmas. And at the moment of death, your mind goes, first of all, through a period, they say, first of all, it goes through some kind of denial. I'm not dying. Like you go, maybe I'm a little sick. I mean, who was it? It was Spike Milligan on his gravestone. You know what he wrote? I told you I was sick. I know. His wife would try to take it off or something, and they wouldn't let her because it was in his will. But he's got it right. I mean, comedians really have a dark view of reality and a very accurate view of reality. So he's a comedian. He's like, told you I was sick. Like, the first thing you do is denial. You say, no, this is not happening. Maybe it's just a bad cough. Or maybe I'll get out. My godmother, I was talking to her the other day, 90-something. She said, I actually had to pack my bag. I got so sick that I thought I'd have to go to the nursing home, where from the nursing home you just go to your grave. She goes, and I went to look at the nursing home, and I'm imagining an alone 92-year-old woman. Her husband died 20 years ago. She's never been with anybody else. She just continues to pine for that thing, grasping to that lover that she had for all her life as the only partner. And now it's just this lonely existence. Every night alone is sad. Everything is built up. Her karma is building up in a negative way around loneliness and depending on someone else. But she says she packed her bag, and she said, I went there and all I saw was death. She says, all I saw was all these people that aren't coming out of that place. And she goes, it scared me so much that I figured, I think I can do some more at home. And so she went back home. And she says, I'm not using the walker as much. I'm going to do like she's holding on, right? To what? How many days she's got? How many weeks she's got? She's very aware. They're counted at 92. And yours are too, you just don't know when. And so is mine. I don't know when. So we walk around today, I'm going to Nepal, fantastic, awesome. But it's more than that. At death, the first thing we do is say, this isn't happening. It's not going to happen. And the evidence is overwhelming. If you pile the corpses on this planet, since we know of history, since we know of time, since we know of man, if you pile the corpses somewhere next to the planet, it would be a billion times bigger than the Earth. People that wanted things and people that didn't want things, just like you. It'd be a mountain of flesh and bone. And we think it doesn't happen. So the first thing is denial, first of the process. And then it dawns on you that you actually are dying. So at some point in the dying process, it actually gets you. And for those of you who have some training, for those of you who have some understanding, this is the ultimate opportunity. Because if you understand ignorance and wisdom, then you know what to do here, or you should know what to do here. You know it's not coming, there's no death independent of your perception. That the karmas arising are nothing but your projections. That it's a movie, it's a ghost, even though it feels completely real. And so here you have an opportunity, if you've habituated long enough, to turn the tide on not diving back into the wheel with suffering. There's opportunity here because it dawns on you you are dying. And you can apply, in those very few minutes, some wisdom. And at the very least, because the Penjekile grabs whatever is the most dominant karma or most available karma at the time of death, so if you're angry, guess what your next entire life is going to look like? If you're deeply in desire, what do you think your next form is going to be? Something that satisfies that thing. If you're completely in bliss, if you're completely in love, even if it's another cyclic life, your next life will be colored and shaped. Your Penjekile, your projecting karma, will grab one of those karmas, turn it into a pregnant woman, and explode it into your next perception of a whole life. Yeah?
Probably the most common is the scared.
Yeah, we'll talk about scared. Excellent. Fear. Yeah, fear is one. Fear that then goes into grasping into self, fear of stopping, so that's the biggest one. Good. So there's an opportunity here when it dawns on you actually are dying, there's an opportunity to actively think the most beautiful, pleasant experiences. So those karmas rise up to the soup. So then the Penjekile becomes one of those. Do you see? If you want to direct what kind of future life you want to have, this is the moment. If you've trained yourself to do that, otherwise you're gripped by fear. Yeah, and fear is natural, it's normal. Of course you should be scared. It's death. It's scary. So, the third thing, so do you understand that at the moment of death, there is Penjekile, which is the pregnant woman. By the way, in some of the original paintings, and you'll see in Ori's painting, this was a vulture. This wasn't a pregnant woman. This was like a instead of a pregnant woman about to give birth, this is a vulture about to get you. This is I'm waiting to pounce on you at death. It's the vulture. It's like the Penjekile. This is, I think, much more powerful than the pregnant woman. Yeah? It's like, the birds are circling, like they see that you're vulnerable, you're getting close. This is a vulture getting so close, it's like just waiting for you to just not move for a second, it's going to tear you up. So that's how strong this karma is. It's just link number 2 charged up because of ignorance. And you've got a chance to throw a spanner in the works if you destroy ignorance. Let me actually share that now. What are Aryas and what are Arhats? Someone?
Direct perception of observation.
Aryas are people who have had, beings who have had
A direct
perception of ultimate reality, but still have karmas to deal with. What's an Arhat?
Nirvana.
Someone who's in nirvana, permanently cessated all mental afflictions. They have karmas. They have lots of number 2s. They have lots of link number 2s.
We all have lots of numbers.
I'm
What kind
gonna
of
do
karma
it.
did you create there?
It's totally normal.
You still got to worry about number 2, but it feels really nice.
You don't have to wipe it.
Yeah. Wiping feels even nicer. So
It's creating some strange.
they have a storehouse of karmas, but there's no ignorance. They've removed ignorance to charge them up into a self-perpetuating cycle of being inside samsara. That's just an aside. Damn. One more thing. And so remember I said there's like 3 stages to death. The first one, like, it's not happening. And then it dawns on you, this is happening. So you then have a chance. So if you could habituate a death practice that says when that comes, I better habituate the right thing. Tell your friends to whisper the Heart Sutra in your ear, or whatever the wisest knowledge you have, or whatever it is, be prepared. Because you have some opportunity there to draw upon the better karmas that you have. So your next experience of being, your next penjacula, your next karma, your next life is of a positive nature and not at random. If it's fear and anger, and it's going to be that kind of life, yeah, in any of the realms, not just the human realm. And then the last one is, at some point, your mind begins to disconnect so much from the body that you're no longer in control to influence the mind. You see, in the middle you have a chance. In the denial you're like avoiding. When you come to the recognition and the realization this is actually happening, you have an opportunity after the disintegrating process occurs, where the mind gets so confused about what's going on because it's not done that for a while. You don't have an opportunity to direct the mind onto a karma that would be positive. So then you go into that. Yeah. Yes. And so the answer to your question, is it natural to be afraid? Yes. Yeah. Should you be afraid? Yes. Is it useful to be afraid? What do you think? Why not? Does it help you to be afraid? If your next experience is activated by the last few thoughts and mind moments, fear is not what you want, because that will produce some kind of animal existence or something like that. Okay, so strong desire. Direct the mind, something holy. Direct the mind to something holy. How about you remember that? Yeah, direct the mind to something holy. We have to talk a little bit about karma and the purification of karma, but I think you have access to that in this place. So there are, does anybody know the 4 forces? Let's talk a little bit about that. I think that's important. How do you plant a powerful karma? What are the 4 steps of planting a powerful karma? For those of you who have studied, this is your chance to show off.
You're talking about karma marga? You're talking about the 4 forces of
Chi,
purification?
Sampa, Jorwa, Tor something. Huh? Tor? Tarduk, thank you. You need a basis, something to identify that you're planting the karma towards. You need an intention or a motivation that requires some thinking. Yeah? Is that fair? And then you actually need to, it's a karma marga. So then you need to
Do something.
do an activity, watch yourself do an activity, and then you need to see yourself completing that activity. You watching yourself doing that, recording the thing, it actually is recording a karma. And that's a complete karma. Yeah? So every single millisecond of your life, you're observing yourself doing these things. These are all link number 2s. These are all karmas in your mind. Your life is nothing but an expression of those things grown into a reality. Some of those are good. Your intentions are sometimes healthy. You want other people to be happy. You want goodnesses to come to those around you. You do something about suffering. And a majority of them are usually selfish and only about you and not so healthy for you. And so some of those, so let's divide them into black karmas and white karmas, good karmas and bad karmas. some of those you definitely want to clean up. You want to have some kind of practice to say whatever it is that I've done, and I know I've done some naughty things, yeah, and I'm still doing some naughty things. But earlier on, when I wasn't aware of the damage this would do to us, to a mind, my own mind. Forget the damage I was doing to the people I was cheating, lying, and all the other things too. Forget that. Knowing that I hurt people, knowing that I stole from people, knowing that I lied to people that cared for me and were open and genuine. I've done that a lot in my life, especially as a young person. And then even with some awareness that it wasn't healthy, I still did it because I thought it would get me away from trouble. Yeah? We all do it. If you just take that black and white for what it is, and you watch that intent of not understanding truth, lying, yeah, grow, of being cheated or cheating somebody, thinking they're getting something and they get something else that's less, unexpected, and you let that grow inside of you until your experience is that, yeah, or having intense jealousy because somebody got happy. Why did they get happy? I wanted to get happy. What a bastard. And then having that perception grow so that everybody around you somehow destroys whenever opportunities for happiness come in your life. Do you see how that damage is horrific? That's your karmas. So you want to clean some of those. You want to clean them as much as you can. And so for that you do the 4 forces. The 4 forces are foundation force, reconciliation, destruction, restraint, and
regret.
Repeat it again.
okay, so
But they were
the foundation is you take refuge. Okay, foundation force is you think where things really come from. That applies in wisdom, yeah. So what will really help you? So you think you did something wrong. Let's say I just lied to somebody and I thought I got away with it. And then I'm like, uh-oh, I just planted that experience. This person really wanted something nice from me and I just lied to them. Yeah? So you want to, first of all, become aware of where things really come from, how they're produced, karma and emptiness. Take some kind of refuge to say, there's a real way that this world functions. And me lying to them, causing them a delusion, is only ever going to produce more of my delusion because I understand how things come from. I only ever perceive delusion because I've planted delusion. Yeah? The next thing is destruction form, and you grab some genuine regret from that understanding. You build some genuine regret, saying, with wisdom I wouldn't do that. And it's not like you feel guilty, it's like you understand that the more you do that, the more your world would look bad for you. Would be a lie for you.
Just say number 2 again.
Regret, you can just call it regret, genuine regret. They call it the destruction force. And then it's easy. You restrain yourself from doing that. You make a promise that I'm just not going to do lying for the next minute or the next hour or lying to that person for the next week. You make some kind of commitment because that charges up the karma because your intent is strong. Yeah? It also stops you from planting more of the same because things come in waves and the waves get bigger in these cycles. So you say, if it's about lying, you do some restraint to lying. Yeah? It doesn't mean that you can stop it forever or anything. Don't add a lie to a lie. Yeah? Try and make a commitment that you see yourself completing. You see? Because you see yourself planting a karma. And then the antidote is the 4th force. This is really important. You do some kind of activity that counteracts, does the opposite of lying. Make a commitment to only tell the truth for the next such and such. Make a commitment to be completely truthful about a very important thing for you that might make you slightly uncomfortable, but really see yourself doing something extraordinary to counteract the negativity that you just did. Now the reason I'm telling you the 4 forces is if you understand the implication of link number 10, which is it will project your entire whole existence you've got a couple of tool sets before death comes. Yeah, at some point you won't have any control about what your mind does. And up to that point you have some influence about what kind of projecting karma you can trigger. Because something will be triggered. Yeah? Still in the cycle. Number one, have the right kind of thoughts through the death process. How do you get that? Have some kind of practice beforehand so that it's such a habitual thing that when it comes, you know what to do. Number two, kill off any kind of dark karmas that are floating around in your soup. Grab the biggest ones in your life. So what's the biggest thing that you regret, that you really, if turned back around to your experience, would hurt you? Is it lying? Is it cheating? What is it? So the 10 non-virtues are a really good place to start. Killing, stealing, sexual misconduct. What of those have you done? To what flavor? So we talked about that causes birth, which then another cycle of aging and death. Let's go through the cycle of aging and death, and then those karmas. This is Ori's really intense expression of the bardo, yeah, where those karmas are pushing you into states of, I'm going to have a better rebirth, I'm going to have a worse rebirth, I'm going to have a better rebirth, yeah. The ultimate thing that I'd like to share with you here, purifications, is that based on these realms, based on the experience that happens directly after death, where you begin to feel the karmas that are coming your way, that you've hopefully had some influence on, you are then projected onto, any one of these realms. The fact that we see ourselves as human beings with consciousness, this kind of existence, this kind of narrow perspective of reality, isn't the only way this world can be experienced. There are 5 variations here, or 6, that the world can be experienced. Extreme torture, extreme pleasure, somewhere in between, some dullness of mind, the animal kingdom where you're just food, some quiet desperation of unsatisfied desires, the spirit realms, the hungry ghost realms. So we've got the pleasure beings, the human beings, the animal realms, the craving spirits, and then the most horrid hells. So there is more, and you know this to be true because there's more than one way to experience being human. Those things are projected in our existence through this cycle of dependent origination. So at death, don't think you're coming back as human. If you really consider the amount of goodness that's required to be a human, to have communication between people, I'm using up incredible amounts of virtue speaking with you. Because if you compare this capacity to all the other creatures on the planet, they can't do this in this way. That's a virtue. It's not a virtue. It's a positive. It's not a neutral. So we've used up a whole bunch. And so revering and caring for the way we communicate and being holy about it and being special about it can charge up more of the same. Right? The fact that you have a body, that you can just put something in it and then it transforms into energy that lets you walk around and do things. It's amazing. It's a virtue. But every time it's using up some goodness. Yeah? And the same thing when horrible things happen. So just thought I'd show you here Mr. Ori's work in more detail. I turned it around. Can you see? So you can see the blind woman, link number 1. Yeah. You see the potter, link number 2. You see the vulture? He changed the pregnant woman to a vulture, the top there. And then birth, you can see a part of the birth is pretty full on, right? Because it's a traumatic experience. What's after that? Aging and death, right? And the bone.
What's stuck on his tooth?
The body, the head of the thing that the vulture's eating. Do you see the vulture on top of a human body? The head of the body is through his tooth. Do you see it?
Yeah, it's upside down.
Yeah, I've turned the wheel upside down so you can see that perspective.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the Bardo, we've talked about the 12 links of dependent origination. At the core is ignorance and this state of mind. You can completely stop the entire cycle rather than having to try and figure out which karma, it's a lottery, which karma I'm going to try and influence at death. And even if you do get the fortune of having another human rebirth, you're going to use up a whole ton of good karma, good seeds, good virtues to have that life. At some point, you want out of the wheel. And the only way out of the wheel, the way you diffuse link number 10, is killing ignorance, killing the pig, killing link number 1. Because understanding where things come from is at the core, not understanding where things come from is at the core of keeping this cycle going. It's this thing.
But so this thing going is the mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is, it has this beginningness.
Yes.
And so we are inside of there, so it doesn't have beginning or end.
It has a cessation. It has the perception of a cessation of being dragged through life and death and life and death.
We are going to be always there.
If we're this kind of creature, yes. The Buddha is outside the wheel. The Buddha has realized something about how the wheel happens. It's not gripped. He's not gripped by death. Let me show you the instructions. Yeah? Yeah. So, we talked a lot about death. I don't want to depress you, but I want you to be real about it. The Buddha is outside thing, and then he puts these instructions up. And let me see if I can do the instructions. Someone read it out loud for me.
I'll read it.
Yep.
Part F, the Buddha and take this up and give that up. Enter into the Buddha's teachings. Destroy the forces of the Lord of Death. Like an elephant crushing a house of reeds, those who gently follow this path of self-control will escape the wheel of rebirth and put an end to pain.
Mm-hmm. So let me explain what they mean. And that will close the next 8 minutes. So when he says, take this up and give that up, does anybody know what Tsoklam is? Tsoklam? Tsoklam?
Accumulation.
Thank you. The path of accumulation. Out of the 5 paths, the path of accumulation is what? The first path, which is what?
To accumulate the merit to get good teachings.
To begin to get informed about, this place is a little weird. There's something else going on.
To get teachings in them.
You begin to get teachings on the ultimate reality. Yeah? I don't want to formalize it into you have to go into a monastery to get teachings on emptiness. You can have teachings from a teacher that will give you an insight that there is something else going on. That's the beginning. Yeah? So when he says take this up and give that up, you are entering the path of accumulation. Yeah? Give up selfishness, any kind of negative. Take up kindness, he's saying. Take up giving and goodness and give up selfishness, which are taking care of others is the only way you build any positive karma, any kind of virtue. Realizing that you're not, even the, too long. Okay. So what does he really mean? Give that up is another way of explaining is he was saying give up the home life. Give up the home life? I have to go be a monk? No, give up the home life, meaning give up the way we think life normally is. Go to my job, treat everybody the same as everybody else is treating. Give up normality. Give up the craziness that is this world, because you know what this world ends like. Everybody's doing it. The pile of humans have been doing this world. Give that up, they're saying. Take up getting sick and tired. Take up renunciation. Get up getting sick and tired that everything we try doesn't work. Take that up. I'm sick of it. I want to try something different. Take that up. Give that up. Take this up. So decide to eliminate as much of this suffering as you can. The next thing is enter into the Buddhist teaching. Is that right? Which is Jorlam. What's Jorlam? Path of preparation. You begin to get an intellectual understanding, yeah, of emptiness. So you begin to understand the four Arial truths, Jorlam. So enter into the Buddhist teaching. He taught the four Arial truths. He put them on this thing to teach you that, hey, life is suffering, but it's not self-existent suffering. It's caused. Yeah? Which means it can end. So don't feel that you're like that elephant chained up to the stick, because it's just string. It's not a chain anymore. Once you get to see and pierce through the reality that it's not happening to you, that actually you're happening, it's happening because of you, then the chain for the elephant begins to disappear. But you have choice to change this. So you begin to get renunciation. Then you say, well, I'm preparing. I'm learning. How is it that it works then? I figured out it doesn't quite work the way it seems to work. I got sick of it. I'm going to do something about it. So how does it work? You begin to prepare yourself. Enter into the Buddhist teaching. Learn the four Arial truths. And the richness that you will find in this tradition, and the liveness that you will find in this tradition, and there are other traditions. Whatever turns you onto reality, not just turns you on, turns onto the working, makes logical sense. You can use logic. You can verify it through practice, but you need to do something. That's what he's saying, enter into the Buddhist teaching. Destroy the forces of the Lord of Death, that is the path of seeing. Good, Tongnam, which is seeing emptiness directly. You can break death. Destroy the forces of the Lord of Death, like an elephant crushing. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like an elephant crushing a house of reeds. Elephant crushing a house of reeds is the path of meditation, or Gomnam. The work is easy because you've seen emptiness directly. So you've now seen it, and all of a sudden you know that it comes from you. It's not self-existent. And it's as easy as an elephant completely destroying something like a house of reeds. Reeds also are symbolic here because it's empty. There's nothing. It seems solid and strong, and there's nothing to it. Easy to break. Yeah. So there's that metaphor there. It's illusionary. It's just an illusion.
Is that path of habituation too, or no?
No, not yet. No, I think that's coming. I can't remember it, to be honest. Those who gently follow. So he's got gently follow. There's something that happens to practitioners that get insight into the possibility of something magnificent with this or any other teachings, and then we grab it and we choke it to death. Right? Because we're so self-existently wanting it to, desperately grasping, wanting it to change all this dissatisfaction, that we just use it as a vehicle to continue the same. So those who gently follow the path of self-control, what else does it say? Will escape the wheel of rebirth and put an end to pain. So So he's saying with care, gently follow, take care, be truthfully sweet and gentle, and any kind of kindness that you can put to the practice, it is also a karma. It will also turn into something. Self-control. What self-control means? The path of self-control.
Correct you.
It specifically here means Vinaya. Yeah? So we've got, so those of you who can study Vinaya, good, but it's about vows, it's about respecting life, it's about respecting others, always speaking gently. It's the opposite of the 10 non-virtues. It's like saying, I'm going, now that I know that things work differently to the way that I thought they work, I'm going to make a strong and committed vow and really work against the things that are the big blockers of our lives, the big darknesses in our lives, in this entire world. Go see Samsara, you'll know what I'm talking about. We'll escape the wheel of rebirth and put an end to pain. Because you would have seen emptiness directly, because you understand dependent origination, because you understand that the thing that you need to get inside of you is this ignorance that perpetuates the cycle, you get to a point where you know viscerally through practice and insight that death itself, the shift of perception, is all it is. There is no separate death. So then the grasping will stop at link number 10 through the point of death. But it will only happen if you have a direct visual perception, experience, visceral, not visual, visceral perception of ultimate reality. Anything other than that is just an effort, it's just preparing. And it's healthy and it's good. But then to be able to have the experience that you saw how nature works, how everything comes from your karmas, your intended actions of mind and speech and thought, and that everything around you is produced by everything you've ever done, intended before. But then death is nothing but another movement of mind, and the possible shift of stopping and starting, of having an intermediate stage. It is also just a perception, a shift of the mind that then has this color on it as self-existent, because it's imbued with ignorance. Once you destroy ignorance, you all of a sudden have a supercharged separation from that self-perpetuating cycle that you had no control over. Does that explain that a little bit? Yeah? So, how long can it take to actually get this code and put an end to pain? And so, for the next minute or so, I'd just like to challenge you and say, it could take 3 months. It could take 5 years. What if it took 10 years? That you truly, correctly, properly, confidently figured out that the way that you see this planet going, the pleasures that go away and the pains that keep coming, can stop. But you don't have to stop. That you still exist, but as a completely other you, a bigger you, a more real you, a truthful you. One that's not trapped and chained up into this cycle of coming and going. If that was possible to do, and then you thought about all the other people in your life who are chained up, who are desperately seeking, ignorantly, more food, more sex, more this, more that, to be happy, and then not getting happy, and then trying some more and then not getting happy, that you really could figure out how long would you put effort towards? 3 months? 6 months? A year? 5 years? What if you knew you were going to get it after 5 years? Would you dedicate 5 years if you knew for sure that you could break this code? For some reason, this code is available. and it doesn't get turned on, if your experience of the world is your karma is projected on empty objects, right? On emptiness. If your complete experience is nothing but a mirror, echo, reflection of your deepest actions and intentions, your karma. Would you chase this one? If it was possible. So I just want to leave you with that, because I know we all get busy with all the seemingly good things of this life, They stop, all of them. Yeah? So with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity to teach the Wheel of Life. I'm sorry that I don't know enough about it to share it deeply, like you're going to get in February. Yeah? So excited for that, for you. Yeah, Geshe-la is going to come and teach the Wheel of Life properly in February. Yeah, and so thank you for coming. Wish us good luck, and do a quick dedication, and then you do an announcement. Or what?
Yeah, I want to do a thank you.
Okay.
So Three Jewels has been here a while, and we haven't had Geshe Michael and some senior teachers, but we've had wonderful Hector and John Stillwell, and I think Hector's done such a great job. It's like he's channeling Geshe Michael, and he's got Geshe Michael sitting on his head, getting all that information down and out in a very similar way, in a beautiful way. Thank you. And maybe above Geshe Michael's head is Ken Rinpoche, and then all the lamas back to the Buddha and the monasteries, and all those are channeled through Hector, which is not just an exaggeration, right? Because the knowledge and the wonderful way of presenting it goes back through the Geshe Michael and the monasteries and Tsongkhapa and India, and who's in India? The Buddha, right? So all that is coming out to you guys. And another interesting thing, the 108 Lives, I saw a film on TV. It was based on a book called Half the Sky. Did anyone see it? Anyone? It was about the oppression of women. Now it's amazing, like half the people in the world, women, now there's less than half, because a lot of babies are being, killed before they're born or soon after, because they're female. And then a lot of, in Asia, the film showed about the young women, teens, preteens, kids being sold into prostitution, and the way that the workers who go there and help these people, kidnap them out of their bad situation and send them to school, right? So education is the main thing to help people, and Hector's supporting education in Nepal, and that's a wonderful thing. But look at it in a deeper sense as to what is the most crucial or significant, important education that one can get. Okay, if you learn something, you go to school and you get a good job and you're happy for this life. But the Dharma is happiness for future lives, right? So we are getting the best education. So thank you, Hector, and all you people. Keep coming. Oh yeah, we should dedicate our good fortune that others, like these kids in Asia and Africa's pretty bad too, and that they should get a good education, and eventually they should get Dharma.
The ultimate education. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And we couldn't have this without you, Michael. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad to help out Three Jewels, and Nancy, our president, is happy, and Geshe Michael, I'm sure, is very happy about what goes on here. So hopefully we continue. By the way, Nancy's amazing. She's a mom of 3 or 4 kids in her late 50s, and she runs out to Arizona to get Geshe Michael teaching a high pressure job and all these family things, and she still runs out to Arizona. So anyway, thank you, Victor.
No, thank you. It's a complete pleasure, and there is no higher knowledge you can get. So let's offer to the entire universe and every being that can receive it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.